Grace and peace and grand rising peeps. I hope everybody's feeling blessed this rise. All right, so today I'm going to get into understanding our own importance in our spiritual development and recognizing how easy it is to be misguided when you don't prioritize learning. When I thought about it originally, it reminded me of schooling. I know many parents who send their children to school and they believe that's where educating comes from. You go to school and you are educated in school. But the truth is, majority of your education is supposed to come from home. Prioritized, mainly because when you put your child in the hands of another, you run the risk of them learning things that you have no idea they've obtained. And these lessons are carried out throughout their life. And without you re-educating and aligning yourself with the knowledge that they already have grabbed, you may miss something. And this is when you start seeing those behaviors coming out of your child. You're like, I did not teach that. That's how that happens. It works that way when it comes to our spiritual development. Now, this came up for me because I realized that there were decisions that I made when I was in my youth, and they weren't based on how I felt, what I thought. They were based on teachings that I trusted and thought were supposed to be the primary source of guidance. Now, specifically, I was talking about teachings from the Bible. I remember being an adolescent and going to a church and having a pastor speak about now when I speak on miseducation, I specifically was talking about when it came to religion and the Bible. One area I remember very clearly was going to a church and having a pastor preach Proverbs 3:6, which is, "In always trust in the Lord, and He will make your path straight." Right? Or in always, depending on which variation you're looking at, it may say, "Submit to the Lord, He will make your path straight." And this pastor specifically, when he spoke about this scripture, he said in everything. And one area that stuck out to me was when it comes to marriage, because I remember him saying when it came to marriage, you must make sure that you trust in the Lord and you follow His ways. And His ways mean, this is exactly what he says, His ways mean that you commit yourself to your marriage. You do not deviate. If you are married, you do not get a divorce. You stick it out. You make it work. That is what it's supposed to be. This was exactly how this pastor put it. And it stuck in my mind so deeply that I looked at that as a golden rule when it comes to how you should be living life, especially as a feminine, growing with your masculine in a marriage. This caused me to, when I entered my marriage, put up with a lot that I maybe should have walked away from. Not maybe, definitely should have. But I stuck it out over and over and over when I seen no change in behaviors, when I seen no want or need to be better because of the sanctity of marriage, because of the way it was placed in the scripture. Now, it wasn't until I released myself from all of those limitations that weren't my own that I realized that scripture was misapplied. This is why our educating of ourselves when it comes to our spiritual work is so important. Because when I actually began to look at this, it was trust in the Lord. And when he was saying trust in the Lord's ways, he was misapplying what the Lord's ways were. I'm not sure if he was taught that these were the ways of the Lord, but as an adult, I know that those ways weren't technically of the Lord. If I really had to put it in context, if the Lord did not send me that partner, I'm not in alignment with his word at all. So entering that marriage was already voided because that wasn't where the Lord told me to be. As well as my soul is being developed as time is going. A test of your soul is, will you have enough self-respect, self-love, and self-awareness to walk away from things that don't serve you? Because that is not of the Lord if you're being mistreated, misguided. Now, I had to really understand that as much as I wanted to apply, my misunderstanding of how life should be led to a pastor who wasn't fully educated in his craft, so he was misleading his flock, a spouse who made decisions that didn't allow the marriage to flourish, a parental unit who didn't educate me on who I need to become, my self-awareness, self-love, as well as what I knew so that they could re-educate. The list can go on and on for everyone else that I can say or assign the reason why I made decisions that didn't work. But the truth is, I still have to entitle it my misunderstanding or misapplication of life. Because regardless of who I want to assign the blame, it's my job to develop the soul. So even to get to this point, everything that I went through was supposed to happen so that I can get to this point and understand where things needed to change for me. And this is where the re-education comes from. When you re-educate yourself on the limiting beliefs that you're walking around with, the misguided interpretations, misunderstandings that you're carrying within your heart, and then assigning that to the pain or even blame of those around you, it leads to bitterness and resentfulness because you feel like you were set up to not succeed. But when you own it, you no longer take the stance of the victim. You sit in a place of recognizing that you had lessons that needed to be learned, and you learned them. And now that you did, you can allow someone else the benefit of being able to do life better. So I'm going to leave you with, make sure that the principles you are living by are your own principles, because you decided to seek the information for yourself. You don't let anyone interpret the Bible for you. As a matter of fact, when you tell people what scriptures are what identifies with you from the heart at the moment. Because I can read the same scripture in 3 week span and it means something different. It can be applied to several different situations. So it's for you to interpret, as long as you're building a relationship with the Lord. And make sure you also understand that not everybody who's in a position to lead is leading. There are many churches out here who pass down the privilege of pastoral duties as if it is a birthright, and it is not. Being born a pastor's son does not make you a pastor. It is being appointed by the Lord that makes you a pastor, that makes you a leader of a flock. And even they have a duty to make sure that they are responsible for what they teach. Now, go out there and learn some lessons, y'all. You've been educated. If you're on the East Coast, make sure you hydrate because it's going to be hot. Already sweating. But have a blessed day. Love and light, y'all. And peace.